occasionally heals books, wishing everyone a happy listening experience. After cooking the last dish, I washed my hands while waiting for Jiang Hui to get off work. I scrolled through Weibo to waste time. A photo caught my eye. In the photo, I was smiling shyly, sitting across from Jiang Hui. I realized that the scene in the photo was Jiang Hui's office. A message was sent from Jiang Hui. There was no need to wait for him to come home tonight. The soup in the pot was still boiling. I turned off the stove, silently watching the bubbles slowly disappear. Sunwan was my younger sister, and also the bright moonlight in Jiang Hui's heart. But in the end, he married me. The first time I met Jiang Hui was because Sunwan fainted from hypoglycemia. When I arrived at the hospital, he was standing by the bed, carefully adjusting Sunwan's leg. The young man was tall and had long legs, a handsome face, and was wearing a school uniform, giving his beauty a bit of a youthful, innocent air. Seeing me, he just gently curled his lips, briefly explaining that classmate Sunwan had hypoglycemia and would get better after a little rest, so there was no need to worry. My parents followed behind, pulling Jiang Hui to ask many questions. Only when they were sure that Sunwan was really fine did they let out a sigh of relief. I was pushed aside. They painfully stroked Sunwan's pale face for a while before realizing my existence. Following Jiang Hui's mother, my mother pulled me out the door, using her newly formed long and sharp finger to press me down. You take care of your sister like this? Is it because we went on a trip last time and didn't bring you along? It's just a small matter. Do you have to remember it for so long? How can you be so cruel? She is your sister. I didn't dare to face the thick hatred in her eyes. I lowered my head and explained that Sunwan said she wanted to lose weight. She didn't let me tell my parents. I have a competition this week, so I can't pay much attention to her. I'm sorry. Speaking of this, I was a little excited to share my achievement with my mother. That's right, mother, I won first prize in this competition. This is enough. My mother waved her hand in frustration, frowned at me. No competition is more important than my sister. In the future, participate less in these meaningless activities and spend more time taking care of your sister. But you are 3 years older than your sister. Taking care of her is a matter of course. Don't find an opportunity to shirk your responsibility. From the hospital room came Sunwan's weak voice. My mother didn't say much more, just gave me a warning and quickly pushed the door open and went back in. I stood in front of the hospital room door, staring through the window at my father's warm and happy family. The area around my forehead that was pressed felt a sharp pain. I lowered my head and raised my hand to touch it. When I raised my head, I accidentally met Jiang Hui's eyes. His eyes were deep and profound, carrying a certain emotion that I couldn't understand. Perhaps he had heard everything that I had just said. Thinking about how I was struggling like this and being witnessed by others, I felt like my pride was breaking. I pursed my lips and turned around to run out, not noticing Jiang Hui's feet that had already taken half a step forward and his expression of wanting to say something but not saying anything. We waited in the living room for a long time before I slowly walked in. Seeing me, she blinked innocently. Sorry, I'm late. Jiang Hui heard that you're back in the country, so he said he wanted to be the first to see you. My mother stood up and hugged her, and finally Nguyen and I returned. Why can't you go so far when you come back, do you know? Your mother and father are worried every day about what will happen if you don't know how to take care of yourself over there. My father patted her on the shoulder, saying that after you come back, don't go anymore, stay with your parents. I still sat there without moving. In such an emotional moment, I completely overcame them not wanting me to participate. When they remembered that they still had a daughter, my father opened his mouth to ask, Suan, where's Jiang Hui? Before I could say anything, I interrupted, Dad, Jiang Hui has some work to do at work. He doesn't have time. I looked down at my phone. Our conversation was still at the message I sent him an hour ago. Are you free to go to your parents' house? Suan, you have to learn more from your sister. Don't be so sullen all day. People will get annoyed just by looking at you. Your mother is right, Suan, you don't have to be so soft. You have to know how to take the initiative to make Jiang Hui happy. Our company is able to develop to its current state thanks to Jiang Hui. Don't have any thoughts of not being able to eat your fill. The food on the table is full of color and aroma, but I just feel like I can't swallow it. Sister, Sunwan sweetly opened her mouth. I raised my head, facing her malicious smile. I remember today is our wedding anniversary. It's not like Jiang Hui forgot to prepare a gift for you, right? I forced my mouth open, revealing a smile that was even uglier than crying. He used to be busy, and he said, I don't care about these things. She raised her hand, her voice innocent, but Jiang Hui gave me this homecoming gift. I thought he treated everyone so thoughtfully. The silver bracelet glittered on her fair wrist, the moonlight pattern slowly vibrating, as if each ear slapped me straight in the face. The parents were extremely happy. Nguyen had always been loved, from young to old. Jiang Huai would always remember his child first for anything good. They freely discussed Jiang Huai's deep affection for Nguyen without any restraint. No one paid attention to the fact that I was Jiang Huai's legal wife. After saying that, my father sighed. It was obvious that Jiang Huai liked my Nguyen so much. Why was he so full? "Father, let's eat quickly," Nguyen excitedly said, constantly pulling his sleeve and acting spoiled. My father seemed to suddenly react, immediately retracting the words he had not yet said, picked up his chopsticks and started picking up food. "Come, let's eat." I couldn't help but feel a little curious. During the meal, I was secretly glanced at by Nguyen several times, making me even more suspicious. Could it be that there was some other hidden meaning behind the previous wedding? My company's foundation cannot be compared to the Zhang family's. So when the Jiang family proposed a marriage, my father was so happy that he almost fainted, and I was treated a little better. Everyone thought that the bride was Jiang Huai's classmate, and I was elated. So when my father called and told me to come back and get married, I felt like I was in a dream. I later found out that I didn't want to be forced into marriage by Jiang at the age of 20, so I made a fuss and asked to study abroad. So I became her substitute. But I was also in my early 20s at that time. I resisted, even tried to commit suicide to threaten them, but it was ineffective. They kept me in the room, coldly watched my blood slowly flow out of my body, and when my life was almost gone, they took me to the hospital to save me. In the end, I accepted. Because Jiang Huai came to see me and said, "I'm fine. After marrying me, you will still be free. I won't dare to force you. You can do whatever you want." I don't understand Jiang Huai, but that day, Jiang Huai's eyes on the wound on my hand seemed to be filled with a trace of heartache. As if possessed, I nodded. When I got home, the living room lights were still on. Jiang Huai was working in the study. I put down my bag and prepared to go to the kitchen to do the dishes. Unexpectedly, all the dishes were already washed. Because today was our wedding anniversary, I gave the maid a day off. Unexpectedly, I was the only one who noticed. I knocked on the study door and Jiang Huai's voice came out. "Come in." The study was filled with the light scent of shower gel. Jiang Huai was sitting in his pajamas at the desk, turning to look at me. "What's the matter? Are you cleaning the kitchen? You don't need to do that next time, just leave it to me. You're my husband, sharing the housework isn't something you should do." His voice was indifferent and cold. I felt my face heat up, my heart was pounding. I hurriedly left a sentence saying remember to go to bed early and then almost ran away and ran back to my room. Sitting by the bed, I patted my face to wake myself up, but my mind kept recalling Jiang Huai's expression when he said those words. When I calmed down, I suddenly realized that right before I turned my head, I had glanced at his face and seemed to see his hands change color. Under the pale yellow light of the study, his originally fair ears were unbelievably red. I shook my head again, clearing away the unrealistic thoughts. "Okay. Let's sleep." I took a few deep breaths to calm my pounding heart, pulled my legs down to lie down. But as soon as I laid down on the pillow, I felt something hard touching my head. I reached down to search and finally found a small square box. Inside was a necklace. The design was very similar to Sun Wan's bracelet. Both were silver bracelets with diamond patterns. But the difference is my bracelet has a star pattern. Nguyen's is a unique moonlight. My heart feels bitter and sour, as if someone is squeezing it. I laughed bitterly, comforting myself. At least this time I had my share. What was there to be sad about? Ever since the first time I met Zhang Haai, Nguyen often talked about her friends and her friends. At that time I was in my second year, but my parents didn't let me stay in the dormitory, so I had to go to work every day and come back at night. Sun Wan would occasionally invite Jiang Huai to her home for a study group, then use the excuse of thanking him to keep him for dinner. At first, my parents were worried that Sun Wan would fall in love too early, but after they learned that he was the heir to the Zhang family, they no longer had any objections, and even took the initiative to remind Sun Wan to get to know him more. Jiang Huai back then wasn't as cold as he is now. Every time he saw me, he would greet Sun. Sun Wan often unintentionally showed off the gifts he gave her in front of me. I also didn't understand why she did that. Once Jiang Huai suddenly asked me, "What does Sun Wan like?" I felt strange but still answered honestly, "There's nothing in particular she likes." Then, suddenly remembering the chocolate cake Jiang Huai personally made for Sun Wan, I added, "Especially the chocolate, it was very sweet, only children would like it." His face immediately turned a little sad, pitifully lowering his eyes. I suddenly felt regretful. How could I blame Nguyen for what she did? Afterwards, I personally made chocolate cake to apologize to her. But she never came to my house again. The next morning, I went downstairs to have breakfast. Jiang Huai was already sitting at the dining table, intently looking at his phone. I sat across from him. Jiang Huai stopped and glanced at me, his eyes lingering on my neck for a few seconds, then quickly looked away, bent down to stir the bowl of porridge in front of him, and asked casually, "Don't you like the ancient room?" I smiled slightly. I liked it, but it didn't match my outfit today. He let go of the spoon. The metal and the touch of the porcelain made a clear sound. I looked at him in confusion. His face was a bit complicated, both angry and resentful, but he still didn't like it. After so many years, I always found a reason. Leaving behind this strange sentence, he picked up his vest and stood up, leaving without looking back. "Sis, I want to be Jiang Huai's secretary to practice more. You won't mind, right?" Tanan sent a message along with a tongue-sticking icon. I pretended not to see, but a few seconds later my mother called. "Suan, don't you want your sister to live well? As an older sister, you should know how to give in to your younger sister. How can you be so petty?" A torrent of scolding fell upon me, leaving me confused. A moment later, I found out that Jiang Huai didn't agree to Sun Wan's proposal, so they thought I was stirring things up with him. "You don't know anything." Of course, my mother doesn't believe it. "Your sister is at Jiang Huai's company, you go explain to him yourself." After saying that, my mother hung up the phone. I had just opened my mouth when I heard a series of beeps ringing in my ear. I had not been to Jiang's company many times, but the employees in the company seemed to remember me. The company receptionist greeted me enthusiastically as soon as he saw me. Jiang Huai was in a meeting, so I went to the break room to wait for him. Tunwan was already there. There were only two of us. She didn't bother pretending. She looked directly at me provocatively. "In the past few years since I got married to Jiang Huai, it seems like the number of times I've come here isn't even as much as someone like you who has studied abroad for several years. Jiang Huai's staff are all very familiar with you. From small to large, as long as it is something you want, I will only stand by and watch." While she was speaking, Secretary Wang knocked on the door and entered. So immediately changed her arrogant attitude from just now, smiling sweetly and standing up. "Secretary Wang, Jiang Huai asked you to come find me. Let's go." I don't want to be ridiculed, so I turned my face away. Unexpectedly, the expected footsteps did not sound. Secretary Wang hesitated and looked at me and Suan Wan for a while, then finally said to me, "Madam, the general manager told me to take you to the office to wait for that day." The atmosphere froze for a moment. Suan Wan questioned Secretary Wang with a high-pitched voice, "Are you mistaken? Do you know who I am?" Secretary Wang calmly replied, "I know, but this is the CEO's arrangement. My aunt can directly ask that day." Sun Wan didn't care, insisted on coming along. "Do you believe that I told Jiang Huai to fire you?" Secretary Wang couldn't help but push her away. The two of them continued to argue for a while. "Enough, don't cause trouble here anymore." Maybe because I was angered by her today, I shouted with a dark face. Suan Wan's eyes widened, as if she couldn't believe that I dared to scold her, so she reached out and pushed me away. The situation was so sudden that I didn't have time to shake her hand off, so I leaned back to avoid it. The pain I imagined didn't come. Instead, I fell into a strong arm on my left. Someone held my waist. The familiar scent of shower gel lingered at the tip of my nose. "Have you messed around enough?" I raised my head. Jiang Huai's eyebrows were raised, his voice carrying undisguised anger. Sua was startled and trembled, her eyes red and choked with sobs. "Jiang Huai, how could you be so generous to me? If someone else had attacked my wife today, it wouldn't have been as simple as a sentence like that." He nodded to Secretary Wang and took her out. Furthermore, Jiang Huai looked at Suanu, who was still struggling with her unwillingness, adding that I was her older sister's husband. Logically speaking, she should call me brother-in-law. Suanu's face turned pale, like a puppet whose string was cut. He followed Secretary Wang out. Jiang Huai let go of his hand that was on my waist, grabbed my hand and pulled me into his office. The room's decoration style was very suitable for his style, not too fussy, but extremely delicate and meticulous. My eyes stopped at the photo frame on the desk. It was a picture taken on our honeymoon. The sea was sparkling blue. The sunset was shining. A strange tourist helped us take a photo, very enthusiastically adjusting our poses. I blushed and didn't know where to put my hands, so Jiang Huai hugged me from behind. Both of our faces were flushed, the corners of our mouths curved, like a couple in passionate love. Zhang Haoai saw me staring at the photo, explaining that only in this photo did she look truly happy. He was right, even our wedding photo seemed forced. Both of us were cold and indifferent. Wasn't he the same? I replied unconvinced. He hit himself, his voice carrying a hint of joy. Then let's take another photo. I used silence as an answer. Jiang Huai didn't ask further, taking out a stack of documents. I received the document, flipped through a few pages, and couldn't help but look at him in surprise. Did he really do it? He nodded casually. Before we got married, he had said he wouldn't interfere in my life. This branch was also thanks to the years of hard work and dedication I had put into managing it, so I could now hand it over to you with peace of mind. I put down the document file, and for the first time I wanted to seriously discuss our relationship with him. Zhang Haoai, you don't need to feel guilty towards me because of the wedding. If I could do it all over again, I would still make the same decision. Even before you had a chance to like to known, I would have proactively approached you. During these 3 years, Zhang Haoai taught me many things. My parents were afraid that I would compete with to known, so they didn't let me get involved in the family business. But Zhang Haoai allowed me to go to a branch of Zhangti to practice, freely doing the work I liked. Even though we were only husband and wife on paper, he still cared for me, and when I was sick, he would stay up all night to take care of me. There was so much love, something I had never even received from my own parents. I gradually fell in love, but unfortunately, in his heart there was already another figure. Sometimes I think if I didn't like him, how good it would be, I wouldn't have to suffer because of his love affair with Tanon. It's not my fault, I just want you to be happy. After that incident, my relationship with Zhang Haoai seemed to have changed a bit. We will be like normal couples dating. There is a new movie coming out this week. Do you want to go see it today? I saw the message he sent, immediately replied, let's go. Oh my gosh, laughing so hard my eyes hurt. Isn't it the husband who fell from the sky and sent you a message? Tun Tan teased me. I tried to suppress the corners of my mouth that were about to rise, and nodded shyly. She sighed, pretending to wipe away her tears. From now on, I'll be the only one left alone. Immediately after, she tried to act like she was afraid the world would not be in chaos. The two of you hurry up and have a child to play with me. With your looks, you will definitely give birth to a little angel. I was startled by her suggestion and quickly covered her mouth. Don't talk nonsense, how could it be so fast? After saying goodbye to Tun Tan, I went back to change my clothes. While waiting, I was free and scrolling through my phone, accidentally seeing Tanon's post. She held a bouquet of bright roses, happily leaning against a man's back, sticking out her tongue and acting cute. Next time you dare to raise your voice at me, I won't forgive you so easily. In the comment section, she added a sentence, the person who truly loves you will know how to comfort you. I was stunned for a few seconds, changed out of the dress I had just put on, and texted Zhang Haoai. Sorry, I don't want Zhang Haoai today. From then on, I deliberately avoided Zhang Haoai. My father's company's finance department was in some trouble, so he told me and Zhang Haoai to go home for dinner. Seeing me return alone, he raised his hand, grabbed the ashtray on the table and threw it straight at me. I took 2 steps back, ignoring the broken glass at my feet. I pretended to be obedient and pulled my father's hand. Dad, don't be angry, maybe Zhang Huai doesn't want to spend money on her. If you need help from Zhang Huai, tell him yourself, I won't say no. I calmly said, Zhang Huai won't be coming today. I laughed bitterly, almost word by word, really? I only believe that as long as Zhang Huai sees my message, he will definitely come. She picked up her phone and sent a message, her face filled with a confident and arrogant smile. That was something I had admired since I was little, but I could never have, because no one stood firmly on my side. She was always surrounded by people, and I was only lucky enough to occasionally enjoy the remaining little tenderness. Previously, she played with dirt and made her clothes and hands dirty, I thought viciously. Last time my clothes were just a little dusty and my mother slapped me. This time she will definitely be angry with her too. So I just stood by and watched, trying to keep myself clean. Even though I really wanted to play, but to get my mother's praise, this little desire was nothing. It was just that after my mother saw me naked, she gently called out affectionately, "This little calico cat." When she looked at me, her face immediately became cold. The little girl's face was already cold. I didn't know who she looked like. As she passed me, I said to her, "Sister, you don't think that Mom will like you by doing this?" That was the first time I knew what it was like to be miserable. Sure enough, Jiang Huai quickly came to our house. I lowered my head, not wanting him to see my struggling face. I quickly walked forward and said softly, "I knew you would come." When Jiang Huai wasn't paying attention, she threw a provocative look at me. Everyone sat down at the table, but no one was in the mood to eat. "Sister," I suddenly called out. I stopped. It was her familiar expression of pretending to be innocent after hearing that Pastor Gon had returned to the country. "Didn't you like him a lot before?" My heart tensed up, and I instinctively looked at Jiang Huai. Jiang Huai slightly lowered his eyes, seemingly not caring much. I let out a soft breath. Suddenly the phone rang. I pressed answer, and a familiar voice immediately came through. "Anen, I'm back in the country. Is it convenient to meet?" I never thought I would see Mukgon again. He reached out to help me carry my bag, but I leaned away. He withdrew his hand and smiled shyly. "Anen really is getting more and more beautiful. Thank you, long time no see." For a moment we didn't know what to say. After a long silence, Mu Yen finally spoke first. "Anen, I'm sorry. There's no need to mention the past anymore. I'm doing very well now. When we were young, between me and Non, he was the only one who would choose me. Of course, between us, feelings that went beyond friendship gradually developed. Then he confessed his love, and I timidly said I wanted to think about it for 2 days. But without waiting for my consent, he said that his parents arranged a marriage for him with a rich young lady. He would soon go abroad to study. My young love, before it could even begin, ended so abruptly. At first, I also felt resentment. But now, when I saw him again, my heart was no longer troubled. The next day, I went to the company for a meeting. Along the way, I always felt that the staff's eyes were looking at me a little strangely. Even the assistant standing by the desk secretly glanced at me a few times, making me have to reassure her, "If you have anything to say, just say it. I won't scold your salary." She opened her phone and held it out in front of me. It was a news that climbed to the top of the hot search. The post was accompanied by 2 photos. The main characters in the photos were very familiar to me. The first photo was of Mumon and I sitting and talking to each other. Both of our expressions were filled with joy and happiness. The second photo is of Jiang Huai and Sun Wan standing in front of the hotel door. Sun Wan is leaning on Jiang Huai affectionately, feeling satisfied and happy. The title of the post is also very interesting. The upper class is really generous in their entertainment, and they are also sisters. There are many comments below. "Wow, that's the style of the rich." Also, their looks are all outstanding. The comment with the most likes is from an account claiming to be an acquaintance. I'm a classmate of the male and female leads in the second photo. In high school, the 2 of them were very close. The male lead often went to the female lead's house. When he returned, he married the female lead's older sister for some unknown reason. Many people had the same opinion. Could it be that the older sister was the one who beat the Mandarin ducks? Oh my God, don't you feel disgusted that she gave the chicken to your younger sister's boyfriend? Are you blind for so long? Didn't you see that she was also having an affair? That's right, stealing your younger sister's boyfriend and having an affair. You will definitely get retribution. It must be said that netizens have a very rich imagination. Some people even guess the correct answer. Or what if the older sister is actually the younger sister's stand-in? Didn't they say that she recently returned to the country? That makes sense, the Moonlight Stand-in, a novel in real life. The assistant carefully observed my face. I smiled, signaling her not to worry. Jiang Huai called me, saying he needed to go home to talk. As I left the company, I vaguely heard people covering their mouths and talking. I never thought my CEO would be like this. "Shua, keep your voice down. A man's face doesn't mean his heart." The social department of Jiang Huai Company is very professional. The gossip quickly disappeared without a trace. When I got home, Jiang Huai was already sitting on the sofa, his head propped up in his hands. Hearing the door open, he raised his head to look at me, his eyes tired. That photo was just a matter of angle. At that time we met by chance. She was wearing high heels and accidentally sprained her foot, so he helped her up a bit. I nodded, "Me too, just a friend who met again." Although everyone was right, I was just a stand-in for my hat. But I don't want this to be too intimate. I hope you can. "What substitute?" Jiang Huai suddenly stood up and grabbed my hand. "The person you want to marry has always been me." I don't understand, but didn't you still like Sunua and chose me because Sunua got married? How could that be? You already liked me in 11th grade. And later you went to Sunua's house to study in a group just so you could see me. But I rejected you and said you were childish. His words were filled with resentment, as if I had done something terribly wrong to him. So it seemed like my train of thought had suddenly broken. I was a little lost. I was just about to open my mouth when the phone rang and interrupted me. Jiang Huai picked up the phone. His expression immediately darkened. He glanced at me. Suowan had cut her wrist and committed suicide. She was currently in the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital, Sunwan had just woken up. Her wrists were wrapped in thick bandages, her face was pale, and her eyes were red. My parents stood by her bedside wiping away tears. As soon as she saw Jiang Huai, her tears immediately fell, and she weakly called out Jiang Huai, making people feel pity for her. My parents saw this, winked at me and said, Jiang Huai, you advised Nan Nan to go, your parents are waiting outside. Jiang Huai's eyes stopped on my face. I didn't nod, nor did I shake my head. If you have something to say, just say it. You don't know how to comfort me, and Nan doesn't need to avoid me. As soon as the words were spoken, Suonwan jumped up in excitement and reached out to pull the pendant on her hand. My mother quickly stopped her and signaled my father to pull me out. But Jiang Huai quickly covered for me. In fact, these past few years, all the cooperation projects with my family were all under An's responsibility. Even the decision-making power of that branch was in An's hands, so if everyone wanted to do anything, they should consider the consequences carefully. The ward instantly became quiet. My father's hand was suspended in midair. His face was extremely unsightly. I screamed, impossible, I don't believe it. I deserve the best. Why do you want to compete with me? My mother hugged her heartbrokenly, turned her head and angrily scolded me. What are you up to? Did she deliberately provoke me like that just to get something bad happen to her? I knew you were a comet long ago. That's right, the reason they don't like me is actually very simple. Before, she took me to see a fortune teller. The fortune teller said that my fate was filled with evil, which was unfavorable for my family and would cause a broken home in the future. But I was the complete opposite, with a very good fate bringing me abundant benefits. From then on, they did not like anything about me. But I clearly remember I secretly looked at the results before the fortune teller told everyone. In order to not let Jiang Huai clarify everything, I secretly cut my wrist to threaten him. Everyone thought the bright moonlight in Jiang Huai's heart was her. She also tacitly admitted to this and even often intentionally led people to set her up. If this matter came to light, she would be ridiculed by her classmates and would lose the face to meet her acquaintances again. Jiang Huai told me about these things on the way back. That day, I was really excited. I was too lazy to watch her go crazy, so I contacted Jiang Huai first. If she knew that Jiang Huai would tell me everything that happened, she would definitely wake up to death. Thinking about her surprised expression, I felt a little happy. Jiang Huai glanced at me. What are you laughing at? Nothing. Do you still want to clarify? I retracted the corner of my mouth, inwardly scolding myself a little. I was indeed evil, but I had to say I was very happy. Of course, what she got was what she asked for. You can't push me into the middle of the storm for her sake. However, the photo of you and that old friend. Jiang Huai's tone was a bit gloomy. He had to make it clear, whether he was in your heart or not. First, you will definitely make this clear. Next, I don't have him in my heart. Yeah, I don't like this style anymore. He glanced at me. His tone was strange. Now do you still think I'm childish? I blinked and asked in surprise, when did you ever think I was childish? That year, he personally made chocolate cake for me, wanted to ask me out for Christmas. I directly refused, and even thought he was childish. He almost word for word recalled the events of that year, as if he was afraid that I would forget his heartlessness. Wait, wasn't that the gift he gave me? The truth proves that there are some things that cannot be relied on by others. After returning home, we told each other everything that had happened, only to discover that Su Nan had been treating us like monkeys and making fun of us. She took the initiative to offer to help Jiang Huai give him gifts and bragged to me that Jiang Huai had given them to him, causing everyone to think that Jiang Huai had feelings for her. Afterwards, she told Jiang Huai that I didn't like those gifts, implying to Jiang Huai that in my eyes and heart, I was the shadow of a person. Later, Jiang Huai saw that I had hurt myself by refusing the wedding, and he accepted that I had no feelings for him. The advice he gave me that day was his last effort for me. Luckily, I agreed, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Then why did you give her a moonlight bracelet and roses? And she called and immediately showed up. He suspected that it was because I was there that he came. Also, what moonlight bracelet and roses? I opened my phone to show him Su Dan's post. Jiang Huai insisted that the bag was not his and he hadn't even teased me into secretly drinking some vinegar. I asked why he liked me. He blushed, awkwardly looking away. The year he was in 11th grade. On the 100th anniversary of the school, I gave a speech as the student with the best graduation results. At that time, I probably didn't know how much attention I attracted. My whole body seemed to shine, just like a star. That night, Jiang Huai found out who posted the fabricated article. Although it was unexpected, it was not too surprising. It was a reporter that Su Nan had hired. She wanted to use the hands of netizens to suppress me. Even cutting my wrist was a plan she had calculated beforehand. She just didn't expect that Jiang Huai would be so heartless, with no intention of compromising with her. In an instant, public opinion took a 180-degree turn. I'm being treated like an idiot again. Truly speechless, not only did she become a mistress, she also drew attention to her own brother-in-law. She even tried to scheme to make her sister calm down, truly too much. I don't know where netizens found all kinds of photos of Su Nan, inserted a lot of dialogue and created countless memes that were enthusiastically responded to by everyone. My parents spent a lot of money to cover up this matter, but it didn't work. Su Dan completely lost face and even hid in the house, not daring to go out. My parents were afraid that she would think of something stupid, so they stayed by her side day and night to comfort her and punish her. They didn't have time to come find me to cause trouble. A few months later, things gradually calmed down. Jiang Huai and I walked hand in hand on the street. The gentle wind blew by. I comfortably closed my eyes and let Jiang Huai lead me as he pleased. Suddenly, the roar of a car engine came. A car rushed out from a small alley on the right. Inside the car was a girl laughing madly. Jiang Huai quickly pulled me aside with tears in his eyes, but unexpectedly the girl still refused to give up and tried to turn the car around, continuing to drive straight towards us. In the critical moment, Jiang Huai hurriedly pushed me away, but he was knocked down by the car and fell to the ground. The car crashed straight into the wall, completely crushing the front of the car, and only then did it stop. I ran to Jiang Huai crying and calling his name. Jiang Huai opened his eyes slightly, held my hand to comfort me, and was speechless. I trembled as I picked up the phone, but tears streamed down my face, blurring my vision. My hands kept shaking, unable to dial the number. I wiped my tears away with all my might and dialed 120. The ambulance arrived quickly and took Jiang Huai to the emergency room. The strange girl was also taken away by the police. Jiang Huai was injured in the leg and needed to be kept in a coma for a while. Before I could breathe a sigh of relief, the police called to inform me that I had to go and give a statement, and also gave me some unexpected information. I looked at Jiang Huai. My mind was in chaos. That crazy driver was the one who painted the hat. After taking the statement, I sat next to Jiang Huai's hospital bed, silent for a long time. He gently stroked my eyelids. Today, when I tried to wipe my tears, my special button brushed against it, leaving a thin scratch. At that time, I didn't feel anything, but now I feel a little pain. My plastic surgery failed. When I saw her today, her face was covered in scars and I went crazy as soon as I saw her. I thought that after a few months, everything would be back to normal. I didn't expect that she couldn't stand the criticism online and was afraid that people would point fingers at her when she went out, so she went straight to plastic surgery. I clenched my fists, feeling a little upset. It wasn't her fault. There was no need to blame herself. She was an adult. She had to take responsibility for her actions. Her actions this time have violated the law. She will definitely be punished. My parents do not want to see their beloved daughter suffer. They will definitely not let it go so easily. While I was still thinking, a phone number that I have not seen for several months called. Jiang Huai wanted to go back with me, but I shook my head and told him to rest carefully. Don't worry, I can handle it. This time, I won't be soft-hearted. Suan advised Jiang Huai to sign the forgiveness letter. Your sister is still young. How can she be in jail? My father sat on the sofa and spoke as if giving orders. My mother sat next to me and agreed, that's right, your sister never had to suffer like that. If it weren't for you, how could she have done such stupid things? 25 years old is still young, stupid things. Almost killed someone, what a stupid thing to do. I replied without hesitation. They were speechless, wanting to refute but not knowing what to do, blushing and looking at me with wide eyes and ears. Yes, I have decided to withdraw the investment I have made into tea. Cooperating with Titi will not bring any benefits to my company. Before we were just family, now we are just business partners. My father completely lost his composure. What did you say? You dare? Can you see if I dare or not? The notice has been sent to the company. He will definitely receive it soon. My mother still did not understand the importance of this, continuously shouting and scolding me to quickly save to known. My father turned pale and put down his phone, pushed my mother's hand away, changed his arrogant attitude from earlier, forced a smile. We are all family. Is there a need to be so heartless? If there is anything wrong, you tell me, I will correct it later. My mother was pushed by him until she staggered, and now that she was able to stand up, she was furious. What did he say? Are you going to abandon me? Shut up. If he withdraws the capital, the Su family will go bankrupt, and we will all die. My mother pointed at my face, her eyes filled with disbelief. You are truly a white-eyed wolf. The fortune teller was right. I should have strangled you to death the moment you were born. The two of you should still think carefully about what to do. There isn't much time left anyway. Having said that, I turned and walked away, leaving behind the two of them blaming each other. But right now, that's not something I need to worry about anymore. This house, big or small, has nothing to do with me anymore. I didn't expect that the solution my father thought of was to transfer public funds. In the end, he was convicted by my father of tax evasion for several years. With this crime, he is like Sun Wan. I'm afraid that he will have to eat public food for a long time. I donated some money to the orphanage, hoping that those children without loving parents can have a stable life. Leaving the orphanage, I slowly walked along the long stone path and sat down on a bench by the roadside, waiting for Jiang Hui to pick me up. Hello, girl. A sudden voice startled me and almost made me jump. It was an old man with long hair, who looked mysterious at first glance, walking towards me. I looked at him warily, then calmly moved aside. He smiled. What, don't you recognize me? I thought carefully. This person has such a special appearance. If I have seen him before, I must have had an impression. A shadow suddenly flashed through my mind. I looked at him in surprise. He was the fortune teller who had read my fortune before. Yes, how is it? I'm not wrong. Is it true that your career is extremely successful and perfect now? What do you mean? Didn't you say that my fate is not good, that I will cause disaster and ruin my family in the future? He seemed to be even more surprised than me. I said, young lady, don't talk nonsense. I remember clearly. You and your sister have opposite fates. I told him the results of that year, along with recent events. After hearing that, the fortune teller shook his head and sighed. Fate, it's all fate. The day my case was heard in court, my mother saw me and immediately rushed over to fight, swearing loudly, it's all because of you, you're a genius. Why aren't you dead yet? Jiang Hui blocked her with one hand, covered my hand with the other, and let me lean against him. My mother hoarsely screamed, blaming the heavens for being unfair, causing her to give birth to a white-eyed wolf, crying and scolding just like those mean and spiteful women she had looked down on before. I held Jiang Hui's hand and walked in front of her. Did my mother still remember who gave her the fortune teller's prediction before? It was Su Wan. She seemed to have guessed something. Her eyes widened in fear. She covered her hand and took a few steps back, holding her mouth. You holding your mouth. You are a star. It must be like that, you. I moved forward step by step. 2 days ago I met that fortune teller again. Mother guessed the result. The fortune teller said that at that time he had predicted my fate and my appearance was completely opposite to what we thought. My mother fell to the ground. Her face was pale and bloodless. Her eyes were lifeless. She kept muttering, No, no way, you lied to me, you lied to me. Afterwards, it was said that her mental state seemed to have problems and she was wandering around the streets. The previously exquisitely dressed lady was now disheveled and miserable, even fighting over food with the waiter. Oh, her mouth kept sighing. Nwang Nwang was mother's lucky star. I felt sorry for her, so I contacted a mental hospital. From now on, she will probably spend the rest of her life in that hospital. Tinwan's days in prison were not pleasant at all. She was so arrogant. Now her face is disfigured. Her family is bankrupt. Even if she gets out of prison, she probably won't be able to live on. I visited her once. The scars on her face had faded a bit. As soon as she saw me, she immediately scolded fiercely. Based on what? Based on what are you born with a good fate? What qualifications do you have to be better than me? Everyone should love and admire me. I deserve the best. Her provocative expression made all the flaws on her face appear magnified many times over. Every word she said was more vicious than the last. I looked at her provocatively, relying on her being uglier than me. She seemed to have gone crazy, madly banging her head against the glass. The prison guards hurriedly took her away. She struggled, lying on the ground refusing to follow, and was finally dragged away like an animal. I gave birth to a daughter. Jiang Hui said the child looked a lot like me. Now he only spends all day around his daughter and even suggested that he hand over the company to me to manage. so that he can comfortably stay home and take care of his precious daughter, but I pinched him and broke his dream. Thinking of that fortune teller, I asked Jiang why that fortune teller was very accurate. Would he like to ask him to predict his daughter's fortune? He was too lazy to look up at me and immediately refused. No need. Even if she committed a terrible crime in the future, she would still be his daughter. Moreover, I believe that fate is not absolute. She grew up with our love and education and will definitely become a talented person like you. Yes, fate always knows how to tease people. Compared to worrying and being swept away in an unknown future, it is better to think of a way to take each step carefully. Each step is correct, the result will definitely not be wrong. If you find it interesting, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to receive the earliest notifications.